of like, oh, I can do that. So I was emotionless, quote, relative to me going to Foodland. And then I went like, oh, I'm kind of in the... So now it becomes sort of a... And you see what can be accomplished from there, short of going through the red light, but the car didn't move. And it's kind of a joke, but I was sort of taken aback, like, what the hell is red? You know? Not in that shocking way, but just in the sense that I would even have to think twice. But it happened in a nanosecond anyway. But you can feel where you're at. You can feel the brain rearranging itself. But you went above it, but now if you let this fall, and now you can sort of steer that boat, you can start to move within that light path. Because to create light path, all you need is a sensation and awareness of breath. It's ingredients that we always have. So the light path creates, it's the first two, there's two stuff that creates a third, and with the third you create the fourth. It's like cooking. With ingredients, without ingredients, make the pancake and then somebody eats them. That could be the fourth. But you just make, you just act crazy and say all kinds of things. And it starts to make sense.
I forgot it last week.
You forgot it?
I called Margaret. I said, what am I supposed to do again?
But this kind of quantum, because you start to lose the intellect. That intellect. But that means you're moving into this higher intellectual center too. So you let yourself not know what red is or what to do next. Because you're trying to go back into standard encodement. And you're just being... And yet, you don't have to worry because that won't get wiped out from your memories. You will still know, but just momentarily you might panic. Like you're getting... But that's a good sign. And you won't panic either. You just won't know.
So you'll be like a baby, except instead of crawling on the ground crying, you'll be driving.
Yeah. But it's still funny, because it just carries you. But it's something that nice and easily relaxing into it. You know, it's not gonna
take you by
switch on you. But again, you start, if you're sort of working with it long enough, you start to feel that it feels like doing that. You know, it's the transition of working in a standard way and then working with it differently, but now you see the world in that context. Not that you don't intermittently see it, but now you're going to kind of stay in it. Now you're always certain of it. You know, you don't have any doubt that you can shift it on some level, because again, you're a subset. I mean, you're changing everything, but there is still your sector of the universe, so-called, as well.
Sector of the universe. Alpha, beta.
Mm-hmm.
Reminds me of a Star Trek episode where it's talking.
I think I might have gotten that line for the Star Trek.
I was talking to someone the other day. He said Star Trek is really real. We're on some spaceship.
Well, everything is not real. That's just the whole point. Which means that it's real. Star Trek is real. In the sense that nothing's real. Right? Nothing's real in that solid sense, I guess, unchanging sense. So what's real is you as the participant in it. Yeah? You have certain control of it. Not in the way that you think you have.
I was going to say, yeah.
But in a way that you don't know that you have. And to kind of buy into that and trust that is part and parcel of the game.
That's
yeah. So the program is making me turn, but I think I'm turning it. Yeah. So you got to kind of go with that for a while until you go like, oh yeah. So now you're just going to say, oh, okay, cool. So I don't have to. It will just go. I can just let go, and it will go. Yeah. Because you'll be grounded, so you'll still be steering it.
Because you're being moved, just like the car's being moved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But you're doing the moving. Your connection, your groundedness is doing the moving. Because if you're grounded, then you're connected with your higher idea.
Okay.
So there is still work to get done. Yeah. So I was figuring out, oh, okay. I always chose this for, years ago I had this book, kind of nice book. They had all these different shields of Indian tribes. But it was a nice story about this one lady and somebody. It was kind of a I don't know exactly how to describe it, but she always said there was 4 enemies of man. It was self-ignorance, laziness, pretense, and beliefs. And I didn't know where laziness came in. I went, what does that mean? Laziness means always just buying into other people's story instead of figuring it out on your own or doing the work to find out who you are. That's the laziness. Yeah, because everybody just buys into this teaching and then wait for something to shift, but it doesn't shift until you're going to say, and then once we start working, I say, why is it so hard? Like, what are you, lazy? But again, it's still moving through the pretense or the motions and not being lazy, so you got to go. And then in doing so, you start sort of penetrate, or you see beyond the illusion, which is a belief. Because belief is a made-up story that you think of as true, although the truth can be only maybe found by exploring and not being lazy, or finding out who you might be. So that's your non-self-ignorance, knowing thyself. So every system has their sort of truths in it, but everybody just sort of buys part and I guess intentionally by design, they don't tell you what the hell they're talking about, because nobody knows what they're talking about unless you decide to look for what they're talking about. Unless you're lazy. So that's an enemy. I'm like, oh, okay. You say, oh, it's too hard. Well, you're lazy. Yep. So that's what the laziness is. They're not willing to work. I'm like, oh, I see what it is. You gotta work your butt off. But then it becomes sort of fun. You know, it's like carrying mulch. Not fun, but might be fun.
I remember quite a few years ago when I separated from my husband, I was driving along and I just had this thought, my life is such a pretense. I mean, I just felt like I was this great pretender.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of the enemies.
And I had to find out who I am.
You discovered on your very own.